think every single person that wants to see signs and wants to feel connected to their loved one across the veil will eventually think to themselves, am I making this all up? I know I have thousands of times. I mean, just over and over, it's very human of all of us to be skeptic. So I think we should get into it.
Sounds good.
So that was something very early on in our connection journey after Kenadie passed away, is realizing that doubt was going to be part of the journey. Doubt was going to become your best friend. That's how I feel. I feel like doubt has always been in the background. Like even when I've had the most magical, amazing experiences, I'm full body chills, tears pouring down my face, so much proof that comes through. And then, because that's what I want a lot of proof. So I've asked for a lot of proof in all of the practices and things that I've done. So tons of proof comes through. And in the moment, 100% I'm in. Like that just happened. The next day I'm like, is this real? Did I make that up? And so I kept having to ask my team, my spirit team across the veil, which includes my daughter across the veil, for proof. So something magical happens on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I start doubting it. So then I'm like, can you guys send me one more sign that what happened yesterday was real? And then I get another sign. And then the next day I'd be like, that wasn't a good enough sign. Can I get one more sign? And so I kept putting them through the ringer, which now looking back is pretty special because the proof that came through was so powerful that eventually my heart accepted it. Like, this is true. This is real. Like, I'm really connecting with my daughter across the veil, or I'm really working with angels when I'm doing energy work, energy sessions. Like, that sounds crazy. So I had to, I guess, prove it to myself, but they needed to help me. And so that's where I finally got to, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I still don't have doubts.
Yeah, it's only normal. I think everybody probably does, and I think it's healthy to some extent to have some form of skepticism, because there are going to be things that aren't something magical or a sign. So you have to teach yourself, you have to learn how to follow the things that are real and to recognize those things. So I think being skeptical in the beginning is a healthy thing to do, because you don't just want to go off following everything that possibly pops up. I think it's good to be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, but this is going to be my tip for you. If you're feeling like I've never gotten a sign or very rarely gotten a sign, I don't feel connected at all, this is my number one tip to you. So yes, meditating is what I always tell people is a great place to start, because, if you don't go within and kind of quiet the outside noise, I feel like you're going to miss, especially in the beginning, you're going to miss it all because the world is really loud. And so we've got to turn off our phones and turn off the TV and go within. Even if you could walk in nature, whatever. We talked about that before and we'll continue talking about that. But this is the thing that I think people miss, because everybody tells you to meditate when you're trying to become more connected. But people don't tell you to make stuff up. Like, work with your imagination. Open up to the possibility that it's all real. And if nothing comes to you, so let's say you are meditating and it's just blank. Like, all you're thinking about is your grocery list. Like, nothing is coming to you. Make something happen. That's what I would recommend. I would pretend like my daughter was sitting right beside me, or right in front of me. I would be looking at her in my mind. I would be like, and I can't close my eyes and like see her. So it was just using my imagination, which maybe that's my superpower, because a lot of people can close their eyes and see something and I can't. So I had to learn how to imagine it all. Like, go back to being 7 years old and playing in the backyard and with your best friend and you're making up all this stuff. That's what I had to open myself up to. So I would picture Kenadie sitting across from me and I would say something to her and then I would just leave it space. So I'm meditating and she's across from me. I would feel super connected. I would see this, energy, or I would feel it. I would put this in my mind that this kind of energy light or tube was going from my heart space to her heart space and connecting us. And I could feel something when I would do that. Like it felt powerful. And then I would ask her a question and I would just be blank for a while, like just quiet. And what I was hoping is that I would hear her voice and she would somehow respond to me and it would be this magical experience. And then I would know that I was really connecting with her and nothing would come through. And so then I would be disappointed and the meditation would end and I would be like, well, there's another day down the drain. Mm-hmm. And then I just felt nudged one day to I know my daughter better than anybody. I mean, you and I, we know her. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, who would know her response better than me? So I'm like, if she's not going to respond, I'm going to respond for her, but I'm going to respond like she would. And so I'd be like, hi, honey. And she'd be like, mommy. And she'd be so excited. And I could just feel what she would say. Like, I'm so glad you're here. And she'd give me a big hug and I could have this conversation with her and we would go back and forth and I would ask her something. And then I would think up the response. Like, this is what she would say to me. Like, today was the best day. And she would tell me about her day. And it was just, it felt 100% made up the whole time. And I know I've talked about this before, but I think it's so important that we don't close off to the experience, even if we feel like we're making it all up. Mm-hmm. Because that opened up the door to connection. And I just kept going back to it. And I just kept going back and connecting with her. And it wasn't, and I've shared this before, but if you haven't seen it, in one of those practices, she showed up, she's in front of me and I'm seeing her in my mind. And all of a sudden she holds up a frog in her hand. And I was like, oh, that's so random. Because I didn't think of that. I didn't put the frog in her hand. So it was just like, oh, that's weird. Mm-hmm. And so I mentioned it to you because I thought it was so weird.
Yeah.
And you were like, that's weird. I saw 3 frogs today. And then the next day it was cookies. And he was like, oh, I was eating a cookie at that time. He was able to prove to me that she was showing me something that was happening in Shane's life that I couldn't have known
about. And it was
about.
very specific things, like with the frogs. I was at work and there was a frog in the sink. Like inside the building in the sink, which is not something you see every day. And then I saw another one on the back of one of our trucks,
You saw 3 in one day.
Yeah, in one day. But like, it wasn't, I never see
weird.
A frog in the sink inside the building, so it wasn't just like, I saw, it was something that caught my attention more. It wasn't like seeing a frog I forgot about. It was like, I saw a frog in the sink today, you know what I mean? And yeah. I was wondering what it was doing in there. So it was things like that. So
yeah, and so the point is that when you are wanting to receive a sign and something happens and you're like, oh, maybe that's a coincidence because, well, that light flickered right after I asked for a sign, but maybe the bulb just needs to be changed. Mm-hmm. Maybe 2 days later the light flickers again and you go, yep, see, it's just a coincidence. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it doesn't matter. As like crazy as that sounds, because I'm all about like, this is real. But I'm like, it's okay if that was just a coincidence because it opened your heart up just a little bit more to the possibility that this is real, mm-hmm. that you can be connected. And it made you think of them and you know what I mean? It's it just keeps going.
Like, I believe like that also gives them information that's useful to them. Like, oh, she noticed when that light flickered. And she thought of me, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or like Dad saw a frog, so I can show Mom a frog, and then they'll talk, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like they learn what gets our attention too. So I mean, if it's learning those, we have to learn that too. If there's something that catches our attention, we see things all day, every day, and most of the things we forget about. Mm-hmm. Like we don't even remember. Like I've seen a million frogs in my life. Like we have frogs. We have frogs all over. I mean, I don't see them every day, but I see a lot. There's a toad living right now outside of our garage. I see him every night. You know what I mean? Right. So you see stuff like that, but you don't get that feeling of like, whoa, that's, like makes you just pause for that extra second and notice it, you know?
Right. And with the cookie, you had never bought that cookie from that store before, and like he was eating it in like he bought it at the store, which he never does.
It was so random.
Yeah, and then you were eating the cookie like on the way home while I'm at home having this experience.
Yeah, I just randomly stopped at Safeway, and I don't even remember what I was working, and I was on my way home from work. I had to stop at Safeway. I bought like a whole little box of like a plastic container of Safeway chocolate chip cookies, which I've never done before or since. And I was eating them in my truck on the way home, which I don't do that all the time. So it was a random thing. I don't even know. And the weird thing about it is when I bought them, I thought of her. You know, it was like, she loved chocolate chip cookies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just like, that was the thing. Like I bought them because they made me think of her. And then I get home and she tells me that she had this vision. Kenadie showed her me eating chocolate chip cookies in the truck, and she was sitting next to her. She was with me in the truck, whatever. I'm like, that's really weird. I'd bought like a whole box of chocolate chip cookies and was eating them in the truck, which I have, like I said, that's one day in 10 years, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, you just got to put the pieces together.
Yeah. But if on day one that doesn't happen, because that wasn't my day one. The frog was like, I don't even know what day, but definitely not day one. So if I had stopped because I was making it all up in the beginning, I would have never gotten to the frog.
Yeah.
So like, get to the frog. Just keep going. The frog will happen. And keep asking them, like, if the light flickers and later on you're like, oh, I don't know if that was real or not, ask for proof. And then if you don't get the proof, that doesn't mean give up. If you're in a place where if you don't receive that proof, you're going to give up. You're going to be done. Don't ask for it.
Yeah.
Don't, like, just keep going. Just try again the next day and see if something else comes through. But if you're open to it, like, I want proof, but even if I don't get it today, I'm going to keep going tomorrow. Yeah. Then ask for the proof. There's nothing wrong with that. But just know yourself. Know where you're at emotionally, and know, like, if you're clinging to that proof so much, then maybe don't ask for it, is my advice. Yeah.
And on that subject of where it's really easy to coincidence things away, like signs and things away, we just went on a trip, our family, to our cabin, and it's over in the mountains. And we had driven up to the top of this steep road up in the middle of nowhere, and there's nobody else around. And we went for this hike, like a 2-mile walk, all 4 of us. And we got back to the truck, and I put Salem in the truck, and I was doing something in the back, and I looked in my wheel well by my back tire, and there was a big glob of like tealy green colored goopy looking stuff stuck to my wheel well. And I was like, the heck is that? And my first thought was grease, like it flung off of something under my truck that had been greased and it somehow flung up and stuck on there, but it was on the rear, which didn't make sense to me. So I was looking closer, I'm like, is that like goopy slime or whatever? And I like touched it, and it was a big gob of, like, Kenadie was really into slime. Like in 2017,
slime was a big deal.
Slime was life. And if you guys were around then and you had kids like around 9-10 years old, YouTube videos of people like poking slime and making slime, and she had slime making supplies at home and all this stuff. We had little
containers
so many
of
slime all over
slime.
the house.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And her favorite color was like a teal color, and that's what color it was. So it was teal slime stuck to my wheel well on my truck, and it was like, I already knew she was with us because she loved it over there, and she's always with us, but she would never miss being with us over there. So it was like, but still my mind went, well, I just ran it over somewhere and it flung up and stuck on my truck. But what are the odds of that? Like, where do you run over slime in the mountains? Like, we just went from like the main highway to dirt road up to where we were at, you know? And the fact that it was teal, her favorite color, what are the chances of that? You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that I could have just like flicked it off of there and went on with my life. I never thought about it again. And like, oh, that's weird. Where'd that come from? But I choose not to, because
we know.
Yeah, we know. So
yeah, she was with us. There was so much that happened on that trip, but
tons.
that is one of those experiences that you could have just gone on with your day and not taken the moment or the, you know, felt it in your heart. Like he had to open himself up to that experience being special, because otherwise it's just slime in your wheel well.
Yeah.
And it was a special moment. We both felt it.
And I called for you. I'm like, Rachel, come look at this. I never believe what's stuck in here, you know?
So I do want to start encouraging you guys to try different practices. So we talked about that imagination practice, and I just think that that's a really good place to start. So if you're wanting to feel more connected to anybody, so it can be your higher self, it can be your guide, it can be the angels, it can be a loved one across the veil. It really doesn't matter. If you want to feel more connected to God, okay. Like it really doesn't matter who you want to feel more connected to. So that's what's cool about living connected, is you get to decide. You're in charge of what that looks like for you. But just have that conversation with them. Go to that place in your mind with them as much as you want, and sit right next to them on the log on the beach, or be walking in a trail and picture them, or be driving in your car and they're sitting in the passenger seat next to you, or like I was doing, I was picturing her right in front of me. Whatever works for you, do that, picture it, and just let your imagination go wild. What do they smell like? What do they look like? What are they wearing? What does their hair look like? Like, see them smiling, hear them laughing. Like, it's okay if you can't really hear it. Imagine it. Like, that is so important. And I just think that I really do believe that that's why kids are so connected. They're so open to their imagination, and they don't question it. They're like, oh, this just popped in my head. And, they just go with it, and they share what comes to them because they haven't been told that this is weird. I think it's not. I think this is how we're supposed to live. I really do. I'm like, this is such a, this is my dream, is like helping create some movement where we all realize that this is just how it can be. Like, we can all live more connected, and that life will just be better if we're connected and living that way. And that's my goal. That's what I hope these videos do. So you can practice that at home whenever you want, or like I said, when you're driving or walking or whatever.
Well, I mean, it's because kind of like what you're talking about, the way that you're imagining these things, whatever, that's what becomes the reality too, right?
Right.
That's how you start.
Oh yeah, that's such a good point.
That's
to
like
talk
how
about.
That's like how it actually starts being real, because
right. So when I imagined her, that's so important that you brought that up. Thank you. When I was imagining her responding to me, it felt no different than when she actually responded to me. And that's why I didn't know. So it's practice for the real deal.
Yeah.
So they come to you. It's very rare for people to hear their loved ones with their real voice. Like one time since I've started all of this years ago, I was in my house and I heard a man's voice from down the hallway say my name. And I wasn't afraid at all, even though I was home alone and there was a man in the house, because I knew it was my grandpa. And I heard him, and he came home, and I told him, and he was like, wow, things have changed, because I would be so freaked out if I heard a man in the house with me when I was home by myself any other time. But I was just so at peace. I like, oh, my grandpa's here. And then I smelled cigarette smoke. And I was like, yep, that's grandpa. And so that one time I heard his voice. And I've heard, obviously when I'm dreaming, I've heard voices, and right as I'm falling asleep. So in that space between awake and asleep, I can hear real audible voices. But that's so rare for me.
And I can't.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of the same as you. Like I know what she says. I don't hear what she says.
Yeah. So it's this knowing, and it's this, it's just a thought. It just pops in like a thought, and you think it's yours. Mm-hmm. And that's why this is a practice, because the more you do it, the more you're like, oh, that doesn't make sense. That wasn't my thought. Mm-hmm. That came from somewhere else. Like at first the frog thing was just confusing to me, and I brought it up to him. But now I would go, oh, this is from her. Mm-hmm. Like, I wasn't thinking of frogs. Why would that pop in my head?
And then you would be looking for, like, what is the frog?
Yeah.
How is the frog important?
Yeah.
After that. Yeah.
Yeah. One last thing. So just as an example. So after I learned how to live more connected with her, we're heading over to the cabin. One time, this was back in 2022. And we're heading over to the cabin, and I'm in a public restroom, like a rest stop, and I'm in the bathroom. I walk into the bathroom and it's got multiple stalls all the way down. And when I walked into the bathroom, it was like I walked into the bathroom at Disneyland, which is so random. But I was like, that's so weird. It just was like a feeling. It was just a memory that popped into my head or whatever. It's not like the bathroom looked like Disneyland. And I came out and I told you, and you were like, that's weird. Like, huh. And we'd been talking about maybe we could someday go back to Disneyland because Kenadie loved it so much. And our daughter Mila loved it so much, but we didn't know if we could go back. And so anyways, then we were like, well, we should just go. Let's just do it. And we booked it like right then. We've never been that spontaneous in anything in our lives. And at the next gas station, we pulled over and we booked a whole entire trip. And everything was so magical. Everything lined up beautifully with like the seats on the plane and the reservations for the restaurants. We got there weren't any tables available. And then, look, there's a perfect table available for you. Come on in. And it was just one thing after another. Like she was there for the whole thing. But when that bathroom thing happened, I knew it was her because I was like, okay, this is so weird. Mm-hmm. So I remember coming out and being like, Kenadie just made me think of Disneyland, like the Disneyland bathroom for some reason. And then it was you that was like, I think we're just supposed to go. Mm-hmm. And so anyways, that's what Living Connected turns into, is that something like that happens and then you know it's from them, even though it's just a thought that pops into your mind.
Yeah. I guess the moral of the story is if you guys are out there and you think you're getting signs from people, but you're doubting it, you probably are. You just start believing,
Yeah. And use your imagination and be okay with that.
And keep working on it.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here. And you can share whatever you want down in the comments. We're going to try to do better at reading those and responding to those. So if there's been a time where you weren't sure and you doubted it and you want to talk about it, please share it down there. We'd be honored to read your guys' experiences. And if you want to practice opening up your imagination and seeing where it goes, like, please tell us about it. We love hearing from you guys. So
yeah, for sure.
Let us know. And if you want to practice beside us even more, that's what we do inside the community. And we're not trying to push you guys into joining the community or anything like that. But that's why it's there. There's people inside of there already. It's like the kindest, most loving community, most loving group of people I've ever witnessed. It's just the most beautiful thing ever. I'm just in such awe of the people that are inside of there because they've all been through something. They're not all grieving. Most of them probably are, but some of them are just kind of going through a tough time in life. And they are the kindest, most compassionate people inside of that space. And they're all supporting one another on their connection journey. And it's just really incredible. So if you want more support, you're like, I just don't want to be alone in this anymore. That's why that's there. And that's why it's only $4.11 a month, because we want it to be there for everybody. So that I'm not trying to plug it. I'm just letting you guys know that that's an option. So you do not have to go through this alone.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you next time.
Bye.